We are a minute late from my rescheduled time. I was supposed to go live at 11, but we had to get a few more things done before we could do that. And my phone is charging, so I can't check that I'm actually live. So we're just going to hope for the best here. Today, though, I want to tell you about my onboarding engine because it's really cool. And it is really applicable to so many different business types. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to chat about it today so that you could start to imagine what it looks like when you build agentic systems, specifically using Claude. That is my favorite platform right now. So a lot of these show and tells are about how to build agents in Claude Code, but I love it. And I love that this kind of framework can be applied to so many different business types, whether yours is like mine, consulting and some done for you offers, but more so strategy work, or if you're a service-based business or some kind of mix of that. This process can be applied to so many different business types, just adjusting it for your type specifically. So today we're going to talk about the onboarding engine. So this is the agentic system that onboards every private client for me. So those who are joining for intensive strategic planning sessions and sometimes workshops and that kind of thing. And also anyone who's joining the Leverage Lab. So this same idea runs for both. I'm going to give you examples from last week because last week I signed 3 clients that were for consulting and workshop kind of work. So a little bit more custom. Honestly, the onboarding process for anyone who joins Leverage Lab is very straightforward. I don't even know if you would really need AI for it if you have different tech tools, but because I've canceled most of my tech stack, in case you missed it, I canceled over $3,000 in tech expenses in order to rebuild those in Claude Code using agentic systems instead. So we're going to go through the agentic system that onboards every private client, every lab client. I'm going to show you my onboarding tasks. So what actually ends up on my list when Claude is ready for me to jump in. The context that runs it is also really important because none of this would be possible without the context that I have built. That is step 1 in everything. You need to have the context. I call this your business brain. You might see second brain around on the internet that's commonly referred to as that. And then we'll give you a refresh on the 5-layer framework. So these are the 5 things that you need to build systems like this. So quickly, before we get into it, we always have to have a reminder of what the levels of AI integration are. So level 8.1 is where you're comfortable talking to ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever, but you're still doing things manually. This is where most people are when they find me. And we want to get you up to level 2 and level 3. That is where level 2 AI is embedded into your automations using tools like Zapier. I thought I removed Relay here because Relay went down. They exist no more. I liked it, so that was unfortunate. But that's where it's still that conditional logic tree formatting where like if this, then that is happening. And maybe there's some AI steps involved in the process, but the entire thing is not run by agents. It's very different. Then level 3 is where your agentic team is going to trigger based on conditions. It works proactively, it works reactively, it completes work for you. You can delegate to it, it runs autonomously. You're not babysitting it all the time. And that is what I'm showing you today, a system like that. If you are new here, hey, I'm Jill Wise. I lead and build growth strategy that includes AI systems to work smarter without all of the suck and the slop that you see online. My work includes brand strategy, direction, growth marketing, distribution, growth strategy, automated sales funnels, and agentic support more often lately. Also, fun fact is that I work part-time hours because I am the stay-at-home mom to 2 kids, and we also like to have adventures. So I have designed my business to fit around that lifestyle. And I have personally seen the benefits of this, and it's just, honestly, it's amazing, especially from like before my business, before AI was really cool. I was operating an agency and I was still working part-time hours, but there were just a lot of moving different pieces, a lot of people. And that's not to say we still want to hire humans, but now those humans can be so much more impactful because this busy work is automated. Nobody needs to do all of these steps. They only need to do the 2 tasks that I'll show you at the end. So my onboarding engine, this is everything that it does for me for every single client that comes through. And there's more things, but this one, these are the parts that I really want to highlight. First is that it finds a pipeline match. So When an agreement is signed and a deposit or a full invoice is paid, that's going to land in my Gmail. Claude is watching my Gmail. Claude can see, hey, someone signed this agreement. It's going to match that to the right pipeline record so that nothing is double booked or missed, and it knows where this person started from. Because my pipeline is tracked consistently, Claude already knows who I'm talking to, who has proposals out, who is interested in joining the lab, who is interested in intensive. I even have systems that are running to help me make sure that I'm the human following up with these leads as well. So it matches anything that is signed with the people who are already in my records to make sure that we're just kind of keeping all of that information in one place, and we're really clear on who booked, what was proposed to them, what those dates are, and all of those details, because that is all tracked in my pipeline tracker. Next, it's going to start setting up the project workspace. For me, a project workspace often looks like the client folders in Google Drive. So it's going to build the subfolder structure automatically aligned to the offer type. So I have a set of folders and subfolders and templates and that kind of thing that I want for different types of projects. If you are a strategic planning client, you're going to get a certain set of folders. If you're an intensive client, you're going to get a similar but slightly different set of folders and templates inside. If you are a lab client, you don't often need to have that set of folders because you're in a group program. However, there are VIP spots for the lab. So then it just knows what the offer is based on that invoice in the agreement, and it can start setting that structure up for me. So where before I would have to do this automatically, or I would have to do this manually, now it happens automatically for me. The other step is setting up the Slack channel and the canvases. So I use Slack as not only the communication with my clients, but also the dashboard for them. So rather than having to get them into Notion or ClickUp or project management tools, they have all of their to-dos and all of their links in Slack. That is their home base for them. But to do that, I use canvases to set up what it should look like for them. There's a welcome tour video. There's my upcoming out of office days, so they know what to expect. There's their to-dos, any links to their folders that were previously set up, all of this stuff. Some is templated and some is customized to the client in question. My Claude agents know who gets what goes where, depending on, again, that agreement type. Because of this, again, it has saved me so much time, and it gives clients a really I find high touch kind of experience, even though it's really easy for me, especially because there's the aspect of videos in here and just all of their own personal to-dos. Claude is also going to file the agreement. So when it lands, it's just kind of in my general consulting client, whatever kind of folder. And so it's going to move that over to where that agreement needs to be for both mine and my client's records. And then finally, it's going to build out the project in Notion. So depending on the type of project that was booked, if it was a intensive or a strategic planning client or some kind of workshop development or content creation, it's going to build out those tasks for me and that rough project timeline for me in Notion so that I can save myself literally hours. So if I signed 3 clients last week, that probably would have taken me 3 hours to onboard all of them in previous times. And then if we go back and remember that I'm working with part-time hours, 3 hours is an entire workday for me. Most workdays I get 2 to 4 hours in. Aside from Wednesdays, I get a full workday. So if I am blocking off an entire workday to onboard clients, you can see that is not very scalable. Because of this system, it is so much easier to scale and just increase my capacity because all of this kind of busy work is eliminated. I have tried to make it so that my job is showing up to meetings with the ideas and overseeing what those plans or those outputs are. I want to be the one creating the content, coming up with the ideas, leading the meetings, and not have to worry about all of this extra stuff. And I'm sure that some of you can relate to that as well. If you are watching or if you're just joining, I would love to know where you're at right now with your AI integration. If we take a step back here, there's 3 levels. Level 1 is that you're comfortable talking to ChatGPT, Claude, doing things manually though. So you're babysitting, you are collaborating with it. You might be saying it's something like a sparring partner for you. It's editing stuff for you. You're not letting it touch a lot though. Level 2 is where you're building automations, but not every step is agentic. It is just traditional if this, then that kind of formatting. And maybe there is a step that is AI powered in there, but it's still not quite fully agentic systems. And then level 3 is where you have agents that are working for you. They're working proactively, reactively, they're triggered, they complete work where you work. I would love to know what level you're at if you're watching, and if you're watching back the replay, put that in the comments as well. Okay, so back to the onboarding engine. These are the things that it is setting up for me. Now, what does that actually look like? So I took some screenshots for you because I wish I could actually just like screen share everything live, but obviously I can't because of privacy. So I take screenshots throughout and just block out client names so that you can kind of see what that looks like. So in my drive, every client who is a consulting type is going to get this kind of structure for their workspaces. And then in here, like their scope and agreement is going to be in here. Any notes that I have about that, their meeting summaries, that's where Gemini is going to pop in the transcripts for all of their meetings, all of their notes afterwards. Claude will move them to the right folders too. If Gemini didn't, it knows what to do with those afterwards. Claude will also even send them the link to every new transcript when it's available. So that's fun. Talk reviews, that's where we're sharing files back and forth where they have something that they want my eyes on. That's where a lot of the intake lives. Sometimes I have forms that I need you to fill out. So all of that is in there. Claude has helped me build those for each client type with some customization for each client type, because even though I have a couple main offers, it still like requires some customization depending on what the business is. It knows that because I have all of these notes in my pipeline tracker, this original part, so that we can make sure that we're all on the same page. And the deliverables. So if it's a client that I am actually handing something off to them, whether that is their strategic growth plans, or if we're working on an intensive and I'm handing over files for them to build their own agentic systems or build out their funnel, all of that lands there. So it's building out all of these pieces, and depending on the client type, it will have populated templates that I already have and have had for years into the right places. And when I say templates, it's like, you know how you want documents to be structured in a certain way with your branding on it and all of that. So those are popped into the correct folders. Then when it's done, my bots are going to send me a message on Slack. I have them DM me on Slack because that is where I am most of the day. I can see right now I have notifications on Slack to get to. So my bots are also messaging me there as well, because when I'm in Slack, I'm like, okay, I'm doing work. I know that I'm going to have to do some reactive kind of work in Slack. That's how I structure my own days. And so that's why I chose to have them message me on Slack versus they could send me an email, or like, I don't want to have them just leave it in Claude chat. We want to try to build these processes so that you don't even need to like go into the Claude UI. I structure all of my systems so that they are working where I work, not me having to go find their outputs in conversations instead. And that is how, again, we'll go back here. That's really what makes the difference when it's level 3, because when you are constantly disrupting your day to go into your AI and generate outputs that way, it's not very efficient. Instead, I can get to my bots when I am ready to do that work and when I am ready to go respond to everyone in Slack at the same time. And I block off specific times throughout my day to deal with Slack stuff. This is an example of what it will send me. So it sent me a few of these messages because it onboarded a few clients last week. This one is for a strategic planning session. It tells me like what the purchase was. It tells me what the amount was, the pipeline, who it matched it to. It wasn't sure because the person who purchased was different than the person that I was originally talking to. So I had to send it a message when I was knew that was going to get signed and say, hey, like, if you see this name come in, like this is also part of the same lead. So it matched that up for me. Onboarding, it created the drive folder, the subfolders, the Slack channel, both the canvases in there, because I have one canvas that's the main home base and another canvas that's like their specific links. It confirmed the meeting event. So I had put a tentative event into my calendar just to kind of block off the day when I was talking to this lead. And it confirmed that, changed the name to be correct, sent the invite to the client. Fantastic. Then the things that are left for me, waiting on me, I have to pin the correct canvases in Slack. So when I'm in there checking them, I'm going to just go pin them. I'm going to make sure that the sharing permissions are correct, because Claude has some limitations with Google Drive of like what access it has. So I may have to go and add permission to the correct emails if that's not already sent, and then send the Slack invites, because those are on my account only. I don't give my bots access to do that. So I will, on their start date, go in, send Slack access off, and everything is ready to go. It says also paste the welcome message. So I have a kind of templated welcome message of like, hey, here, take a tour that I send once I have sent those invites, so that it's coming from me, not from my team-wise bot accounts in Slack. I want it to come from me personally. It asked me to confirm the agreement is signed because the payment came through before the agreement did, but this is all settled now. That was just the message that was sent to me. So this, as we can see, is very detailed. This is like you would get, like you would expect from, someone admin doing this for you. So this is amazing how it can do all of this stuff. And then now, again, always coming back to like the humans can do more impactful work. That's the whole point here. So for this case, with this specific client, it only assigned me one task because it was able to do everything else. And I don't have to do this until the start date. So this is going to be brought to my attention by my orchestrator agent on the start date, which I'm going to show you what I mean by that really quickly too. Let's duplicate this, delete this. So when I say, is it going to let me draw on here? Is it going to refresh? So the cool thing is that this task you can see is assigned for a few weeks out. I'm going to forget about that. I'm going to not remember that that's something that I have to do until that day. And something that I found with the way that I work is that I hate having to sort through Kanban boards and to-do lists and all of that. Like there's so many things that I have to think about all day long that I don't want to have to go sift through all of the things. So I've built an orchestrator agent, and I'm going to try to draw out for you to see what that looks like, where this agent, okay, here's me at the top. I'm wearing a crown because I'm the boss here. Then I have my orchestrator over here. Let's make it like a robot. That's my version of a robot. This one is going to look at all my to-dos each day. It also looks at what the other robots have done for the day and everything that's waiting on me. So everything in my project tracker that is waiting on me, this one is checking all of those things. And it's just going to give me a very specific list, so that my list every day is usually like 1 to 5 things. And it knows how much time I have available each day because it has access to my calendar. It won't let me write tasks. Because it has access to my calendar, it can see, okay, today is Jill's like full work day. So we're going to give her closer to 5 things. They're going to be more in-depth things. They're going to be focus block things. They're going to be getting ready for this show and tell, putting together anything that it hasn't already put together for me. So for example, because it knows that this is happening on certain days. On the days that I have less time available for work, it can see my work blocks in my calendar and it'll give me fewer things. So it'll give me easier things that are faster, because it knows that this is just how my schedule is. And then that way, when this task comes up on the due date, I don't even need to go into my project tracker. It's going to show me this in my dashboard of, okay, here's everything that you need to know today. Here's everything that all of the other bots did. Here's everything that you've done. Here's everything that you're waiting on. I'm trying to draw in here. It's not drawing right now. So it is organizing all of that for me so that every single day, it just kind of removes having to think about all of these details so that I can instead focus on what my actual tasks are at hand. So instead of me stressing about what to do, I'm like, okay, what am I actually going to say in this session? What am I going to say to this client? That's not a good example because the welcome message is templated, but what am I going to say when it's time for that planning session for that client? What am I going to say on this show and tell? What I was literally thinking about what I was going to present today and how I was going to talk about it while I was on a run this morning. Like that's how I prepare, because I already knew what my to-dos were for the day, and I could do that deep thinking work while doing something else and just be more efficient about it. So that's how that works. So let's get a little bit more into the AI power behind it, because my drawings are not great explanations. The reason why this works is because I have built this brain first. This is always step one. If you are working with me in any capacity, we're going to do this part first. If you don't have a brain, nothing else will work. If you do not document the things that are just living in your head outside somewhere so that your team can access it, your AI can access it, then nothing else is going to work, because nobody will want what you want. Nobody will understand what you want. So if you ever try to hire people and it doesn't work out because you're like, well, they just don't get it, they just don't get what I want, it's probably a you problem. And this is how you fix it. And if you struggle to train humans, you're going to struggle to train AI. So instead, we need to pause and get everything that is like how you decide things and your processes, what you like, what you don't like, your preferences, your conditions, all of that needs to be documented in your brain. The more context, you can see the word context here, the more context you have, the better. We think about AI often when we are in level one of like, oh, I need to have the best prompt. I need to get good at prompt engineering. But what it really is context engineering. And if you can get in the habit of documenting your context in your business brain, then you don't even really need to stress so much about the prompts. Like that's the important part. So this is step one. Step two is that I like to use Claude right now. I feel like it's the best option for so many businesses. I know there are other options out there, but Claude really seems to balance the power with the connectivity, with the ease of use. So I personally run all of my agents via Claude Code routines. You can use Cowork as well, but because of how I've built mine, there's a lot of customization in there, and Claude Code as a coding tool is a lot more powerful. So that's why I've chosen Claude Code. I teach clients how to use Claude Chat, how to get skills in there, how to use Claude Cowork first. We only move to Claude Code if you are more advanced or if you truly need to for what you're trying to build. So these Claude Code agents are going to fire reactively and proactively. They are based on conditions and triggers, and they communicate with each other via the brain. So if we go back to my drawing here, I remember that I said my other agents are going to talk to my orchestrator agent, and they're getting tasks delegated to them. Sometimes I delegate to them. Sometimes the orchestrator delegates to them. They're all communicating with each other, and that's why it works. And we save all of that in the brain so that everybody is aware of what is going on. So I don't, again, get a lot of outputs in Claude directly. I have my outputs go where I'm already working, where humans would be working instead. And then that way I'm not searching through conversations to try to find what they made. This works. My agentic AI ecosystem works really well because it's technically platform agnostic. So it's built on Claude Code right now, but I could take everything that I have, easily import it over somewhere else. If Anthropic goes down tomorrow, I can move it somewhere else. I'm not reliant on OpenAI or Anthropic for these things to run. Will it be a pain? Obviously a little bit, but it will be a lot easier than if you are just working off of conversations or projects and you don't have the brain built and you don't have the skills documented and you don't have all of these, like all of this extra context saved. Because of that is also context aware of everything that is happening in my business, the way that I've set up my routines to run. To go back to the beginning, the reason why this part works so well is because it already has the information from that pipeline. Because I keep everything in the brain, it makes it so that it's easy for it to find its own information that it needs. So I can go in and see after, sometimes I'll go in and check routines that I've run and they've completed successfully. And I'm like, hey, what are they actually doing? And if you use Claude, you can see like its chain of thought in there, and you can see what tools it's used and what it was thinking throughout the time, what it was doing. It's very transparent. I like that. I can see where it's going to search. So it'll be like, oh, I don't have this information like I normally would. I'm going to go look over here in this part of my brain to find that. So it is smart that way. Next is that it works where I work and it communicates like a team member. So this is, again, a really good reason why building like this makes so much sense, because connectivity and having that memory across all of your workspaces is really the differentiator. So Next, quickly, I want to clarify again, I keep doing this, but because people are wrong on the internet, I need to clarify again, what are agents? So when I'm saying that I have agents running in Claude Code, what does that mean? And I've also mentioned skills, and I have done an entire session on this. If you go check back one of those replays, there's one that's like agents versus skills. Go watch that for the full picture. But the Spark knows is that agents, they work independently to produce an output. They trigger when conditions are met, and they use skills to complete work in your workspaces. Skills are the specializations that your agents have. So these can include workflows, preferences, parameters, style guide, examples, that kind of thing. I also give the example of like humans have fancy pieces of paper on our walls to show the skills that we have. It's the same kind of idea. Like, I know how to do things because of these credentials that I have collected. Somebody asked, you work in consultancy? Yes, I am a consultant. We work in do growth strategy and AI integrations. As you can see, you can check out more of that on the channel. Let's quickly talk about the 5-layer framework. So I've touched on a few of these parts throughout this, but we need to have these built in order. First is the brain. I keep coming back to this, but you need a brain in order for the rest to work. Once you have the brain, then you can build agents because they can reference the brain to run successfully. When you are building your agents, you need to consider production. So what are they actually producing for you? What does that look like? What counts as good? Do you have any examples? Do you have frameworks or processes to follow? Specific workflows? Like what does that actually look like? We need to get all of this out. People will build an agent and then they're like, oh, I'm not happy with what it did. Okay, like what did you give it to tell it how to do a good job? Again, just like training humans. And then we need communication. So this part is really important and a lot of people miss it. How do you want to communicate with your agents? I said that I like to have my agents communicate with me in Slack or directly in my brain, like in our project tracker, so that when I am doing that work, it is right there in front of me. I don't want to have to go into Claude to talk to Claude. I'm going to talk to Claude where I'm going to do my work instead. Some people use different apps, whatever, but definitely try to get your communication out of the UI wherever you can. And then the last one is improvement. So how can you get it from like, let's say it starts at 50% the first time it runs. How do you get it up to like that 70 to 90% accuracy over time? Because 50%, great, that's half a job that is already done and you just have to take it home. 70, 90%, that's what I want to see. That's where like edits are more minimal. How do we get it to improve over time? I like to use things like self-learning loops and having it like check itself before it submits to you, using different agents to check each other. There's so many different things you can do here. I teach all of that stuff inside Leverage Lab. So we are in the middle of a cohort right now. Right after this, I'm actually doing the diagnostic call with the current cohort where we are looking at their entire business audit and choosing the part they're going to automate first, because we've already started to build the brain. We already have that context in there. And then now we're like, okay, what makes the most sense to automate first? What's going to save the most time? What's going to make you the most money? We start there. So inside Leverage Lab, the next cohort is going to be starting October 26th so that we can wrap up before the holidays, because then we can start 2027, which is wild, with all of our systems already built and that framework ready to go, so you can keep growing from that. But Leverage Lab is where you stop spending money on all of the tools and you finally build something that works underneath them. So I gave the example for myself. I canceled over $3,000 in tech expenses by building it this way instead. I don't need 10 different tech platforms when I have my agentic systems running well this way. So we focus on the foundations first in the form of that business second brain, your operating instructions, all of those details, that context, and then you can build your custom AI system on top of it that runs without you. By the end of 8 weeks, you're going to leave with something actually working, repeatable, and a path to build the next one faster. The link is right here. It's joelwise.com/leverage, or it'll be in the description as well. If you want to check that out, right now it's early bird enrollment. If you enroll before October 1st, I believe, you get a bonus one-on-one session with me where we can start to plan out what these systems are going to be for you. Look at your business personally. It is a great bonus. And it's only going to be there for a little bit longer before we start the proper enrollment for October. How Leverage Lab works is that we're going to join a private Slack community. This is where we do a lot of async support. Everyone's busy. People are across time zones. So we have conversations in Slack that way so that you can get answers that you need fairly quickly. You also get access to my learning dashboard where you get your weekly to-dos, your actionable exercises. This is where your resources are. So they include a mix of videos, screen share tutorials, cheat sheets, templates. There's a use case database. I love the use case database. So the use case database is where my bots actually pull use cases from all previous cohorts, what people are building and how it works, so that you have this inspiration right there. So you can go see what other people have built and what you need to build something similar and get ideas from businesses across a huge range of industries. So that one's really cool. There are also agentic skill files for Claude AI as a bonus inside. So you can get access to my exact skill files. And the format of all of it is that we do some live sessions that are like workshop style. So like today we're doing the live diagnostic, going through those audits with everybody. And then we also do Q&A calls where you just come as you are, ask questions, listen to the questions that other people have. It's kind of like group coaching style. Some weeks we have homework submissions where you get personalized feedback from me. Sometimes you just are doing the work. And there's the option to upgrade for VIP if you want some additional done-for-you support where I'm actually mapping out the system plans for you. So you just have to go hand it off to Claude and it'll build it for you following my instructions. So that is fun as well. If you're wondering who is inside, it's honestly, it's a huge range. It's really cool to see. There are honestly a lot of like tradespeople inside and like home industry ones right now compared to my typical like online business crowd. But then to see how they communicate with each other and share ideas with each other is really cool because, you know, like a coach might learn from a painter in ways that they never would have thought about before. So it is designed to be choose your own adventure. And that means that it's okay that there's a range of business owners inside every single cohort so far. The frameworks will stay the same, but the application gets personalized to you. And that's where like that async support comes in, like rely on me, ask me questions, and we try to design it to match you. So there's online businesses, service providers, trade services, consultants, coaches, a whole bunch of people in there. So if you go check that out at israelwise.com/leverage. Early bird is open right now and you get that extra bonus if you join before October 1st. And then we will have the real open through October before we get started at the end of that month. So that's what I got for you today. Honestly, this is like game changing. Like I said, this onboarding engine, if we're talking last week specifically with 3 new clients, like this would have been an extra 3 hours. There's a whole work day for me gone with my part-time hours that I work. So we don't want that. We want to be able to use those hours for better things, like being able to put together free content like this for you and actually supporting the clients that I have, you know, getting on calls with them and that kind of thing. So I hope that this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I check back when the replay is done to answer any of those. And yeah, I will see you guys probably not next week. We've got a lot of things going on. This is most Wednesdays, probably the week after.
They were ripping by us and doing jumps.